You're welcome, everybody. Lovely to be with you. So, if we can turn our attention to the tranquility, the spaciousness of awareness, our transparent reality, so that the mind can come to rest, nothing to expect, a simple and complete resting, an invitation from myself to myself to rest as being, as presence. A sort of suspension of the past. Notice the movements within the body, the breath, the warmth of the body, the heartbeat. The light shining through the window. Hearing these words. There is no separation. Although the mind makes some distinctions, in being, in presence, and as presence, there are no issues. It is only in the mind that we find issues, problems. And we get engaged. But we don't need to. Because resting as awareness is always available to us. The fulfillment of resting as awareness, as being, is always available to us. But whenever we engage with the mind, we have the option of engaging in a practical manner, such as feeding the body, taking care of one's home and family, which is completely impersonal. Or we can engage as a person, as a separate entity with its history, its old wounds, with its past trauma. And whenever we engage as a personal self, we are maintaining the personal self. We are maintaining the impression of separation, the impression that there is something at stake for somebody. While in fact, there is no personal self, only the flow of images on the screen, the creative aspect of Shiva, the movement, the flow. Any stress or trauma refers to a personal self. a fictitious me, which is quite different from the body being tired or the body being overexerted. There is a story which we carry around, a me story, a me, a wounded me that needs healing. But the true healing is not the healing of the me. It is the healing from the belief in a me, the belief in a separate self, a healing from the belief of limitation, healing from the belief that consciousness is mortal. In the absence of a history, in the absence of a me story, there are no personal issues because there is not a person. So we invite ourselves to this understanding. We are open and available for this understanding, for God's light to dissolve the falsehood. Of course, all body minds have been subject to all sorts of brutality in the past because of the global ignorance of our ancestors, which has been passed on to our parents and grandparents. Their sense of limitation, their fear, their sense of lack and envy and greed. We have all been subject to this trauma. And awakening to your true essence, your true self, is the healer of time. It heals the past, reveals that in spite of the body mind being affected by events, Consciousness is its reality. You are the reality of the body-mind. You being this invisible presence, the true and only you, the true and only self, is the reality of the world body-mind. And this reality is non-phenomenal, does not get wounded, does not get hurt, does not exist in time and space. So that is available to us not as a trick of the mind to heal oneself, but it's available to us as our very being, our very reality. You don't need to think about consciousness in order to be conscious. You don't need to remember consciousness in order to be conscious. You don't need to do anything for consciousness to be. Consciousness is. And you are that. You are consciousness. Conscious that it is, and conscious that it is conscious. And in this understanding is your freedom, your true freedom, the only freedom there is. So you can turn your attention to that which you love above all. What is that? Is it something that appears and disappears? Is it a mind state that you are seeking? Is it a solution to a particular problem that you are looking for? You are looking for a better life for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Is that, is that what your heart aspires for? What is it that you can be absolutely certain of? Why pursue that which you are uncertain of? The only certainty we have is the certainty of consciousness, not the images on the screen, but the essence of being, the essence of awareness. If that is what you can be absolutely certain of, then you can align your life, your decisions, your actions, your thoughts with that which you are absolutely certain of. Like when you are in the forest with the compass, which points to you with certainty the direction, because the true north of the compass does not waver. It's always pointing in that direction. And the compass is you, not the you that appears, not the you that you imagine, not the you that you perceive, which is constantly changing. But do you, which right now hears these words, this transparent, aware, invisible, formless presence, the changeless, formless, the unmanifest, Shiva, Brahman. It's a done deal. So if there are any questions, anything that you would like to explore, please make sure you unmute yourself. You can also raise your hand. Any questions?
Hi, Maggie. Are you okay with me being off camera because I'm driving, or do you want me to keep the camera on? I can keep it on.
That's fine. Yes. Hi, Frank.
Hi. All right, I'm going to put it sideways like this so I don't have to hold it. All right, I just wanted to ask you something. So when I go in to look for a separate self in the body, I can never find any separate self in there. There's nobody there. So it's got to be consciousness, consciousness. There's nobody there. But the next step would be to like find something that, so that's an old idea, right? Of being a separate self inside a body, at the mercy of a body. The body can make you sick, it can kill you, etc. Then we don't know what happens after that. This is the prevailing view in society, right? So I can very easily go in and say, okay, there's absolutely no separate person in here. So it's something else. I don't know what that what that something else is. I noticed the mind, and of course the mind is always wanting to know things, but there's like it leaves a vacuum in the sense that I don't know where to go after that. So I know there's no separate self. So it's all consciousness, but the mind, there seems to be a need for some kind of wanting to know what that looks like.
Mm.
Can you fill that in for me?
Let me see if I understood your question. Correct me if I'm going in the wrong direction. If you look, or when you look at your experience, you find perceptions, sensations, thoughts. You see the world, you experience the body, you experience memories, and you perceive phenomena. So that's one aspect of our experience. There is also the belief that I am a separate entity. So you perceive the belief, you perceive the thought that, okay, I'm a man, I'm born, which is different from perceiving the body. You perceive the bodily sensations, but that's different from perceiving I am the body. I am the body is a belief. Perceiving the body is just a perception. Right? You look in the mirror, you see a face, you say, okay, that's Frank's face. Yeah, that's the name of the body is Frank, and that's Frank's face. That's a perception, right? But the belief I am Frank, that's a thought, which is a belief, right? So there's a difference between, in our experience, between perceiving phenomena, perceiving events, perceiving thoughts, perceiving perceptions, and the belief that I am somebody, that I am this and not that I am Frank and I'm not Megdi, I am Frank and I'm not Bill, right? So that's part of our experience. So in our experience, there is the phenomenal realm, there is the belief that I am somebody, right? And then there is that which perceives. There is a reality which perceives. In other words, the thought, today is Sunday, cannot arise on its own without the knowingness of it. So there is awareness. There is awareness of the world. There's awareness of the mind. There is awareness of the body. If there is a toothache, there is awareness of the toothache, which is awareness of the body. And there is also awareness of awareness. I'm just talking about our experience. I'm not talking theoretically. So you need to double check with me if you're not getting me. I'm speaking experientially. There is awareness of awareness, meaning I'm aware that I'm aware.
Yep.
Awareness of awareness. So that is our experience. Now, what else is there? I don't know what else is there. I mean, I can imagine that there are blue men on the moon and that there is a god or a dragon god floating somewhere above, beyond the galaxies. But that's just imagination. Experientially, there is world, body, mind, meaning perceptions. There is ignorance. Ignorance is the belief that I am somebody. Because there is no reality to I am somebody outside of the belief that I am somebody. In other words, there is a body mind named Magdi, which appears within consciousness. But then there is a belief that I am Magdi. Now that is unsubstantiated. There is no support, nothing that supports this belief. It is strictly a belief. So when you say that when you shared with me a minute ago that you did not find a separate self, you did not find a me. What you are sharing with me is that you did not find any evidence that actually there is somebody named Magdi or there is somebody named Frank. You found a body named Frank, yes, but you did not find there is somebody, like an entity named Frank. And I agree with you, because the belief is just unsubstantiated, like the belief that the earth is flat is just a belief. So I want to see if I understood your question. You mentioned about something else. What do you mean by something else? I don't know if I really got your question.
Okay, so as you're talking, Maggie, it's coming to me what the answer is. It's funny how this happens. So basically, like as you're saying, you were talking about consciousness. So I'm asking something about the body mind, and you're right. So I know there's a body there, but I can't prove that there's a separate person here. But what's here instead? And so I'm realizing now that
Oh,
I'm trying to fill a gap in here with something to replace that, to replace the fact that there is no. So I've thought that there was somebody's like a unique person inside this body that was different than everyone else and had its own story, et cetera, et cetera. But actually, that's just an idea. That's just a story.
yes.
It's not reality. So I was trying to replace that with something else. But what I'm realizing now is I can just know that it's awareness, knowing, being aware of this. That's what I can replace that with. This is what am I right there? Am I on the right track?
Yes, awareness is the perceiving element, the knowing element that knows the world, body, mind. It knows its creation. It creates and perceives. And at the same time, it knows that it is, and it knows that it is the knowing element. That's consciousness. That's awareness. Now, the mind is more like, as a metaphor, would be the images on the screen. So there is the screen, and on the screen there are all sorts of images. There are memories, thoughts, Frank's thoughts, and Magdi's thoughts and perceptions are different. The mind is different. The images on the screen are different. But that which knows the images and that which is and knows that it is consciousness. And when you contemplate consciousness, you don't find that there are different consciousnesses. You don't find there is a consciousness named Magdi and a consciousness named Frank. You don't. You find that there are images named Magdi and images named Frank. A certain body mind is named Magdi. A certain perception called Magdi's house, and the different perceptions named Frank's body, and different perception named Frank's car or Frank's house. You do find that there are distinctions and differences in terms of the images on the screen, but you do not find that there is consciousness A and consciousness B. Now, for the people who are doubting that or questioning that, I invite you to turn your attention to consciousness right now. Right now, you are conscious. In other words, right now, consciousness is your direct experience. And once you come to the understanding that consciousness is your direct experience, meaning the reality which perceives, there is a reality which perceives, and that reality is aware and conscious, what we refer to as consciousness. And it is also what we refer to as I perceive. You can ask yourself, experientially, do I experience a beginning and ending to my consciousness? Because if the answer is yes, I am experiencing a beginning and an ending to my consciousness, that may lead me to conclude that there is another consciousness that may start at the end of my consciousness, which is different from my consciousness, which could be Frank's consciousness. But when I ask myself the question, do I experience a beginning or an ending to my consciousness? Or when I ask myself, do I experience a location of my consciousness? If the answer is no, I don't, then I could not conclude that therefore there is another consciousness somewhere else which differs from my consciousness. Because experientially, I'm not finding a beginning and an ending to my consciousness. You follow what I'm saying, Frank?
Oh yeah, totally, Maggie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So this is an experiment we need to conduct. Nobody can conduct it for us. We have to conduct it ourselves. We have to ask ourselves, is my consciousness, meaning the reality which perceives right now, not an idea about consciousness, experientially, is that consciousness phenomenal? Because anything phenomenal is limited. And if I come to the conclusion, wait, no, I don't have any evidence experientially that consciousness is phenomenal. And I can just stay with that because that
In
is.
fact, if I was sorry to cut you off, I heard something the other day. So anything that we see, would this be a correct statement to say that anything that we see is not real, but it's the seeing of those things that's real? That's the only thing that's actually real is the seeing of what we see.
It depends how
that?
you define reality.
Okay.
How do you define reality? There are different schools. There is a school that defines reality as being phenomenal, that the world is real, that matter is real, the materialist. And there are people who define the mind as real, that thoughts are real, that everything we perceive is mind-like. Like, in other words, when I perceive the world, I'm actually perceiving a mind image. It's mind-like. There are these two schools, the idealist and the materialist schools. So from my perspective, okay, that which is real is consciousness. Okay, consciousness is real, but I would not encourage you to conclude that everything that you perceive, whether it is mind or whether it is the world, are not real, are illusion. I would say that they are real as consciousness. In other words, everything that is real as consciousness. The mind that you experience, that you perceive, the thoughts, the creative thoughts, the memories, the mind-like qualities that you perceive are real as consciousness. And the world that you see, the mountain, the tree, the car, the city, your neighbor, are real as consciousness. So we bring the reality without denying the reality of mind or the reality of the world. We bring them home to the reality of consciousness.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thanks, Maggie. That's awesome. That's really great.
Okay, Frank.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Because that which we can always be certain of experientially is consciousness. Because if you look for the mountain is here today, but in 20,000 years, the mountain may not be here today, in 20,000 years. If you look at your mind, your creative thinking, something can happen to the brain, you can fall on your head, and all these thoughts and creative aspects of your mind may not be here again. But that which you can always be absolutely certain of.
So Maggie, one more quick thing. I know I said I was done, but so when I said that what we see isn't real, but what's real is the seeing. So what you're saying is it's real, but it's only real as real as the seeing, in the sense that it's all consciousness. But it is real in that sense. They're real as consciousness, but not real as anything else. It's not real in the way that we see it as real, right? the way that we think of it
Right, because
normally.
it depends on the instrument of perception. Like, if you're seeing
Yeah.
something and you say, "Oh, wow, this mountain is real," and then something happened to your eyesight, God forbid, and you're looking and you don't see a mountain, you see I don't know, some clouds. Oh, then you say, "Oh, those clouds are real," you see. Because the instrument, it depends on the instrument of perception, you say.
So maybe seeing, when I say seeing, I'm talking about awareness, how awareness sees,
Yes.
because awareness is seeing
Right.
thoughts. We don't see thoughts with our eyes. We see thoughts with awareness. We don't see imagination or memories with the eyes. We see that with awareness, right? So I think that's what I was saying. I think that's what was, when I said seeing, that's what I meant. Thanks. Anyway, I'll pass here. Thanks.
Awareness is the perceiving aspect or the knowingness aspect of consciousness, of reality. In other words, one of the attributes of reality, of being, is awareness. So it is reality takes on the form of perception. It is a reality or being, which perceives, you could say perceives, it's always perceiving itself, because there is nothing outside. There's no other reality outside of the reality of being. So in terms of the conversation about awareness or perception, because we should not deny perception, we should not deny awareness. Absolutely, because it's our experience too that we perceive, we're aware, right? But given there is one reality, it is that one reality which is perceiving its own creation, itself, within itself, as thought, perception, sensation, mind. Because thoughts, perception, and sensation, you have to keep in mind that thought, perception, and sensations are just a classification of perception. You follow what I mean? In other words,
Yeah.
there is awareness which precedes as a way of speaking, precedes the classification. Right? Of course, there is no precedence because there is no time. It's the formless which organizes itself as form and as mind. One could ask why, and we say, why not? It's infinite. This is God's play, you say, God's play, and it's fascinating for us, all right, because we actually enjoy perceptions, sensations, thoughts, interactions, the life, creation, creativity, climbing the mountains. We like climbing. There are people who climb Mount Everest, and I don't know, maybe 20 people die every day, every year, climbing Mount Everest. They enjoy that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Maggie. Yep, they do. They do. And they die there every single year and they keep going. Okay, I'll pass. Thanks.
all right. Any questions?
Hello, Magdi. I enjoy Satsang, and so I save myself a lot of trouble.
Okay. We bring Mount Everest here.
It's so beautiful. I I recognize the voice of Magdi. I recognize the voice of Frank. I mean, there's some pattern recognition of the sounds that come in.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Yeah, but
enjoyment in that.
yeah,
It's we wouldn't be recognizing. I wouldn't be recognizing Holger's voice and mannerism and way of being if it wasn't meant to be for God's creation. So there is joy always, the source of, and it's fascinating in that there are, some events we witness that we also recognize, but they don't seem to directly point to joy and beauty and love. Directly, they don't seem to, like friendship does, or like getting together for a beautiful walk. No, it seems that they sort of pointing indirectly to ignorance, and by pointing to ignorance, they're pointing to God. Sort of more of an indirect pointing, because somehow we're touched, even in an unpleasant way, by things that in the world that are very awful. But in some sense, they lead us to take a deeper look, whether we're capable of doing so or not. But the invitation is for that, for us to sort of see within ourselves that aspect, that destructive aspect, that the me aspect, the aspect that is within us, but fear and greed and sense of lack. But yes, there are experiences that are direct. They come direct, unfiltered, unpolluted. I would say unpolluted by ignorance. So beautiful sunshine, or the children, seeing the children, very beautiful, the children. It's so beautiful. The face of the children, their innocence, their eyes, their love. It's something that touches our heart, which reveals God's love to us.
It seems at the beginning of the satsang, it takes a while for me to tune in to.
Yeah, the vibrations, the mind activities that precede, satsang may be the meditation is an exercise to connect with the peace, this inner undisturbable presence. Not to live that way. You cannot live that way because there are activities you need to do, but you can live. Maybe it takes some time, but you can live the activities in life still, like the baby walking in the supermarket and looking at all the beautiful toys and whatever they're looking at, the candy, but their hand is in mom's hand. So it's so more and more the activities of thought, life, the children, work, whatever, become not obstacles, less and less of an obstacle to being, to presence, to love, to peace, to God. Because it's God is taking on the form of these activities. These activities are God itself. It's consciousness itself. Everything is consciousness. And so we experience an absence of me in the meditation. As you said, it may take a little while, but then we are There is no me. There's just beingness. You say beingness, and beingness is so beautiful, peaceful, loving, joyful in a deep sense, not like. And it becomes more and more familiar with us, to us, and it slowly permeates our body, mind. So it's always available to us, and as needed, we can also tune into it. When sometimes during the day we have a minute to tune into being, we just tune in to presence. And as needed, as needed, and as it arises to us, we get inspired to do so.
Amazing, beautiful. An interesting pointer that you said we cannot live as that. I mean, so there's always, I don't know right now. Everything is fine, no question. There's an in and out, like a flip-flopping, being aware of presence, and then again.
Yeah. You don't need to be aware of presence, Presence is aware.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
The main thing is to notice that whenever you're getting into the negative me, the negative emotions, there is a me in there. I mean, it's not possible for you to get irritated or upset or angry without a me story. What matters is to notice those moments. When you notice those moments, then you can explore whatever your exploration is. Like, what is that about? We've done it so many times, and here I go again. She or he did this to me, or whatever, or why do I have so little time to do something? The me story, you deal with it because by now you're very equipped. You have the toolbox to how to deal with it, and not to engage in the me story as a me that is trying to help the me, we say, because me is unhappiness already, is illusion, that's the illusion. If you want to talk about illusion, is the me illusion, because like Frank said, when he looked, he couldn't find a me, see, and it's true of all of us. But as we are trying to fix the me, it's the me who's trying to fix the me, you say. Yeah, I mean, you know that, I know you do. So that's really, otherwise, all is well. Outside of that, all is well, because you love God and God loves you, and you open the door. Once you heard the knock and you open the door, you don't have to worry anymore. Okay, God is gonna. He notice. Oh, you open the door. Boom, God is in. God is in. It's a done deal. You're in good hands, and our part is simply to sing God's song, as best we can. And it happens effortlessly. It happens effortlessly whenever we're not.
It was interesting yesterday. The feeling arose. Oh, I'm ready to just drop away. I would be ready to just die.
Yes.
I mean, all my words are kind of, I don't know. They're all a little misplaced maybe, but just I'm ready to die. I'm ready to drop everything. And it's beautiful. I mean, so much freedom in it. And paradoxically, so much appreciation came out of it. I mean, for just what is.
Sure. Because what is meant to die is meant to die. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
Right, let's go. Let's get to it.
Yeah. But it was something, there was a fear, there was such a strong fear in the system of just clinging on to the familiar, to the.
Right. Yeah. The old wants to.
Yeah, wonderful.
In itself, Yeah.
And so beautiful, this I don't know.
Yes.
It's so precious.
Yes. Right. There's a freshness in not
Yeah.
knowing, availability and openness. There's room, you know.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Mm. Mm. Any questions? Oh, hello, Rula. Yes. Hi.
Hello, مرحبا. Magdi, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, كيفك?
No, um, I don't know. Maybe I don't have a question. I I heard you say, what do you want for the next 25, 30, 50 years to have a good, happy life, and then, or I guess the alternative, which is maybe the truth, or I'm assuming that that was your comparison. Um, I I think, if you spend, many people spend much of their lives miserable, and I think many people don't realize it even. Um, but I spent most of my life that way, depressed, anxious, and very much aware of that state of being, that there was something wrong there and whatever. Um, and of course, that brought me on this path. So, of course, that's the me trying to relieve itself of pain for its own sake. I mean, there is also curiosity about the truth, definitely. Um, I guess at some point I had a realization, and this was very beautiful and blissful and peaceful, as you had mentioned, being is. And then after that, again, suffering, or whatever you want to call it. Um, but I still have glimpses along the way. Um, for example, a couple of days ago, I don't remember what I was listening to, um, when suddenly I heard my thoughts, thinking something, complaining about something, and it wasn't conceptual, but in an instant, I realized. I mean, it struck me that the thought was not a person, it was not a being, it was an inanimate object, like a leaf, and it struck me that it was not referring to anything, to me, to I. And this all happened in like an instant. So I'm just describing it as if it was a thought process, but it wasn't. It was like, I need to do this, this, this. And then suddenly it was like, what? How can the thought be referring back to what is it referring to? It's not it's not animated. It's not, there's nothing there. And then of course made me look who's here. And then there was very transparent, like, there's nothing here. But there was a certain amount of fear there, the idea of non-existence. And of course, that was an idea, and I could see that as well. But there's something inside that I guess there's depression, anxiety, all these years. Um, a couple of years ago, I got off of all my medications. I really started to do something. I started to get better in reality, in this reality. And suddenly I wanted to live. Before I didn't even want to live this life. Like was more afraid of life than death. Suddenly I wanted to live and I wanted to experience life and I wanted a relationship, all these things that I had like just let go of and I didn't care about anything. And so in a way, I kind of let the spiritual seeking off to the side and I started pursuing some dreams in this physical world. Like you said, 25 years, can I be happy for 25 years or 10 or however I have left? And maybe this existential fear of dying, of getting old, of no longer having much time left, an opportunity to actually experience this life in a way that I haven't for, you know, first 3/4 of my life or half of my life, whatever. Um, but there was that feeling like if you're not here, that sense pulling me back, if you're not here, then what does it matter that you're pursuing this relationship with this person, or that you're none of these things matter anymore. It's like you need to be someone in order to enjoy life, in order to, it's very scary to be gone, to not be here. And there was, kind of this back and forth. And there was an openness also that kind of let it, kept it calm. Like it was almost like there was a space and it was all rising in that space. It's just a little, that fear was trying to get, and I'm just wondering about, I don't know, people who have dreams, who still want to pursue things, um, and yet they see maybe some glimpses, or partially they understand that pursuing things in the world will never really get them what they want. I understand that, but I don't see it clearly. I don't feel it. And so the tendency is still to pursue those things. If we pursue them again and again and keep failing, keep finding that they don't actually fulfill us, is it possible that this is one way, to, a long way maybe, to
Yes. Yeah. So life is part of our experience. When I say, hey, what is it you really value? Do you value having a good life for the next 40, 50 years? Or do you value beingness, awareness? It's just has to be understood in the spirit in which I was sharing it. Now, life is not separate from awareness, from consciousness, and in life, we all love life, even though when we are hating it, we are loving hating it. So life is us is life, meaning consciousness is life and life is consciousness. They're not two, they're not separate. And in life, we enjoy, well, we enjoy everything. We even enjoy our misery. I mean, because, okay, we love to blame somebody for our misery because that's just mind stuff, right? I mean, say, oh, the problem is my grandmother or my mother or whatever, my brother. And we just play this game, of why did they do this to me? Why is this happening to me? And we enjoy this game, otherwise we wouldn't engage in it. So even in our misery, we are happy with our misery. Now, of course, here, we talk about happiness. Is it possible to have happiness without misery? The happiness without playing the game of poor me, or I'm the victim, or playing the game of jealousy or anger or anything like which we enjoy doing. That's what we explore here. So in life, the question is, what is it to be happy? What is it to be truly happy? What is happiness? What about what is it to be? What is
I mean, I can say, I know for me, the one thing, for me, happiness would mean the end of fear. That's it.
yes,
That's so simple.
yes, the absence of negative, you could say negative emotions. In your case, you say fear. Okay, yes, beautiful. The absence of the sense of lack, the absence of fear of death and ending, or fear, period.
Just fear. Yeah.
Fear, yes. So this is what we explore. How what is that about? And we get a glimpse, like you mentioned, not just a glimpse, but a few glimpses, where in an instant, it has nothing to do with the mind or thinking or time. We experience, or we are that freedom, that peace, that happiness. In a flash, we know in that moment that there is such a thing as that, as the absence of fear, as the freedom from fear, as the freedom from the sense of lack. So that these are the glimpses, because the glimpses are freebies, tokens from God. He just sort of tells you, okay, here I am, here it is. You know, it's not your imagination. Okay, you're imagining freedom from fear, but here is a glimpse of it. You know, that glimpse is certain. There's a certainty about the glimpse, because nobody can argue with you about it. You know, it says, well, because of this, because of that. I don't care what it was because of. I know the glimpse is real, because it was my direct experience of the causeless peace. You know, so now here, okay. God speaks about the ending of fear. Not like, okay, you know, here and there, but the ending of fear. And the contemplation of that which is in our experience beyond fear. What is it in our experience which is beyond fear? It's not me and my story, and I'm, you know, it's not me. That which I know experientially is beyond fear is consciousness, is awareness, is presence, is being. And what is this presence? What is this being? What is that? I mean, I cannot deny consciousness. I mean, what would deny consciousness? You cannot deny consciousness because in order to deny consciousness, you have to be conscious of you denying consciousness. Consciousness is absolute. So what is it in your experience that is absolute, that is non-phenomenal, that is beyond fear, beyond sense of lack, is consciousness. Now, am I the body, mind, or am I consciousness? Obviously, I am consciousness. And what is the Rula experience? The Rula experience is consciousness playing, creating, you know, thoughts, sensations, perceptions, but above all, know yourself as consciousness. Because as you know yourself as consciousness, you know yourself as freedom. You know yourself as the fearless aspect, that which is beyond fear, not the fearless, that which is beyond fear. And then life is for you to play it any way you want. You want relationship, no relationship, exploring the arts, trying to make money, or not caring, living as a vagabond, whatever it is, doesn't matter, because all possibilities, all options are available to you once you know yourself as consciousness, as awareness, as presence. You're no longer the body-mind. You're no longer identified as a body-mind. And what's happening to the body-mind, what thoughts are arising, what feelings are arising, that's just images on your screen. Your screen meaning the screen of consciousness, you see. So the storylines about, oh, I've been this, I've been depressed for so many years and 3/4 of my life, all of these in that moment are seen as just images on the screen, as storylines. I'm not saying there's something good or bad about them. I'm not being judgmental about the storylines. I'm just recognizing them, acknowledging in this moment as storylines. The me storyline is just a storyline because there is no me. There is only consciousness. The me is just the storyline. Okay, it's important to be aware that the me on the screen is not you. Is not the real you. There's no problem with the me on the screen as long as you're not identifying yourself as that. Because as soon as you identify yourself as somebody in time and space, you are dragging along the whole ancestry of Rula and their tradition and her stories, and when she was 12 years old, and when she was 5 years old, and what happened to her when she was 18, and you're dragging with you the the past. And what sort of freedom is there in being in this moment when I'm just gonna, well, let me regurgitate to you, my history. Do you have time? Or let's start. I hope you have time. Guys, we're gonna be here for the next few hours. I'm gonna regurgitate to you my history. No. No. Of course there is a history. There is a history of the Roman Empire, the history of the Carthaginians, the history of the Assyrians. There is the Persian Empire. Alexander the Great, right? I mean,
It's not here.
right? Carthage. I mean, all of that is history. It's a history of my ancestry. Grandparents, Palestinians, grandparents, what happened to them. There's all of that. There is the history. You'd say, yes, of course there is a history. It's like, the movie, you can rewind the movie, or you can see the movie again, right? I mean, right now you can just sort of move the cursor and you can watch from the beginning, you say. That's fine, as long as you not identify yourself with somebody. Okay. Now, the other thing about the glimpses, you see, because God loves you because you love God. Don't ask me to explain it. That's how it is, you have the glimpses, God's glimpses, So, and once you open the door, that's it. God's is in. All right. Welcome to the world of glimpses, because it's going to be one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. After a while, you don't even know what glimpse you're having, because it's just, okay, just getting a glimpse. You don't even notice the glimpses after a while, because they're, below the horizon. And you find yourself more and more innocent, carefree, as presence, as being. Sort of, oh yeah, gee, this happened. Oh, some things happened that are upsetting. Okay, I mean, look what's happening in the Middle East. It's upsetting. I get upset about it. Okay, it's upsetting. You do what you can. You express yourself in any way you can, and it's all part of God's play. Volcanic eruptions are happening. Tsunamis. Who knows what else? People in Ethiopia, I don't know what they're doing. Starvations and but I never leave home. You never leave home.
In other words, it's not as if there are no feelings that arise of, for example, we're watching the Middle East, what's happening? These feelings arise.
Absolutely. They arise, and they're calling us to heal. I don't know how to heal the world outside of returning to presence and speaking as best I can here and there. But hey, what about the children? Can you let go? Can you let it go? Can you open yourself up to something else, a new perspective? Who hears? Who knows? Like Jesus, when he threw the seeds, some seeds fell on fertile ground, and some seeds fell on the rock, and maybe it took 1,000 years for them to sprout. I don't know. We don't know. Of course, we feel deeply because we're so interconnected. I mean, yeah.
I mean, would you say that in the state not in the state, but realizing who you really are. I mean, in some sense, everything is here now. You can't distract. You can't. I mean, you're not running away from. There's no you to run away from anything. So in a sense, you feel everything
Yes.
fully.
Why
You
would you?
face everything fully.
Absolutely.
So it's not that discomfort doesn't arise. It's just that it's okay.
Well, it
It's
is.
seen that's coming. It's going to go. But it's not like, because I think a lot of us think, or I'll speak for myself initially, that it will be bliss. You'll never feel a bad feeling again, you know? And I think it's not really that. It's just that there's nobody here to identify with it necessarily, but
Yeah.
or say that it's bad in comparison to good. So it's kind of
Yeah. There, when you are genuine, you're also genuine to the discomfort. When you're present to the discomfort, you're present to be uncomfortable and to be outraged, yeah, that arises. But and 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 you're affected, and you interact, you interface, you're expressing, but somehow the core isn't touched. The there is movement and there is stillness. It's not like that there is only movement, only turmoil.
something always settled in you.
I'm sorry?
Something is always settled in you. I mean,
Always.
settled, like that's what I feel like I'm always looking for. Like I'm never settled. I'm never settled. It's always looking for that, just settle.
You won't find the settled aspect in the phenomenal. The settled
Yes.
aspect is the true you, this invisible presence that is non-phenomenal, that is always settled, that's always beyond the movement. There is the stillness and there is a movement. The stillness is this ordinary awareness, this ordinary presence, which is you. It's you. You is not the image on the screen. The you is not the thought on the screen. The true you is, and only you, is this invisible to the senses, this invisible presence, the reality which hears these words. That is always peace. That is peace itself.
So like the eye at the center of a storm is always at peace.
Yes. And this eye at the center of the storm has no center and an
Self.
infinite radius.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Magdi, John.
Hello, John.
I'm going to just say sometimes it seems like I can let go sometimes of this me character and so forth and so on. Sometimes it's just known because you were talking about, we have these glimpses and so forth and so on. Or experiences, whatever one wants to call them. But sometimes I think the greatest thing that I have discovered is that this peace, this calmness, this non-agitated, fulfilled love, whatever, comes of its own. I mean, it's not me doing it. I think a lot of my issue is the me character trying to get somewhere, or afraid of not getting somewhere. And of course, that's the me being brought up. But the great blessing is that I recognize another glimpse, or another peaceful place, or my true self, the true nature, the I. And more and more I recognize that. And yet this is a repeated thing. And so I'm sorry to repeat it, but it's it does seem like there's things happen and are going to happen, but things happen, and I'm in life trying to do things and trying to survive and so forth and so on. And it's not totally forgotten. But sometimes I have to just say to myself, just stop trying to, find the peace, do this, do that, get on a video, I mean, some things are good. I go back to one of your satsangs. I put them in my thing, and I go, okay, I'm going to go back at that one, because that one talks about the me, and it's helpful for me, because somehow I need to be reminded. But I just want to say that there's a blessing that sometimes I just have peace. I haven't done a damn thing for it. And that's a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to share that.
Yes. So, John, so the peace is not for me. Peace is what I am. So if you're trying to seek peace, or to get to peace as a person, as John, you're going about it the wrong way. John is just a belief. It's a belief structure, and I know you see that. I know you know that. Maybe sometimes you overlook that, but it seems that on occasion you're trying to help John to get the peace, or don't help John, okay? Don't help him.
Yeah,
right.
I hear you. Don't enable him.
You can let go of his hand, okay?
Oh God!
He's asking you, let go of me, all right? Very lovely.
Well,
yes,
Magdi, it seems so. It seems so. I'm getting on a satsang. I'm getting on other things, and yet most of us, it seems like everybody's seeking. Everybody's and then they get somewhere, but there's somebody.
It's not John who's coming for the satsang, okay? It's not John. Doesn't want to come to the satsang, okay? John wants to follow something, wants to seek something. It's not John who comes to the satsang. There is no one who comes to the satsang. Okay. Very lovely to be with you all. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Magdi. I'll think about it.
Holger, yes, yes, yes. Vitz and John.
I should say I'll contemplate it.
Yes.
All right.
Well, Jenny. Kawesta, Jenny. See you soon, Jenny. Looking forward to seeing you. Yes. Rula. Hello, Rula. Okay, okay. Frank. Yes. Krishna. Hello, Krishna. Mina. Bridget. Bridget. And
Thank you, Magdi.
Laura, yes, you're welcome. Hello, Lynn. And Nina. And Desmond. Malcolm. Hello, Malcolm. And my sweet Tara. Lovely to be with you all.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody for sharing.